Anons, they messed up. It's over. Cure a day. Biolab near Russian border has been raided. During the raid, they found an incomplete weapon that was going to be used against Russians. Bioweapon is literally nothing like they've seen before. What the hell? The biological composition does not match any living organism ever seen before. As a matter of fact, the entire research facility does not seem to be made for humans, given there are no oxygen tubes or hoses towards the labs. Even more strange, there are more parts of the facility going downward, but the deeper you go, the less man-made it looks. Russians are confused, as they should be. Kremlin finally has proof of what they really lost by losing the space career. Get called from my supervisor at 3 a.m. They found them. Brace for total war. Russians officially make contact with the Hive. The Hive is an underground network spanning across the planet's core, where some beings have been living on since before humanity. They seem to use the core's energy to fuel their civilization, while simultaneously they have access to the surface somewhere on the seafloor. From my understanding, their parent civilization was exterminated by gamma rays from a dying star, wherever they came from, and since then, they've become an underground civilization to protect themselves from similar cataclysms. Ancients would call them gods, demons, or even human. Some want to help us, some want to exterminate us, but the majority wants to dominate us, and they do. There is some sort of dome preventing us from going to space anymore, but not because the Earth is flat. We are prisoners in our own planet. What Christians call hell, they call home. Antarctica is the place they first surfaced, and there's archaeological evidence of Rouge surface cultures stemming from them existing all over the globe. They got wiped out in or before the Neolithic by the dominant underground culture, but it's believed that some of their surviving offspring intermixed with us. US has been collaborating with these A's to avoid total annihilation. The Hive is the US's greatest asset. Ugaritic is phonetically similar to their language. They seem to have some sort of psychic powers, as in they can mess with people's minds, from Alzheimer's to hallucinations, and I've seen them even take over someone's body. These creatures are adapted to darkness, extreme heat, and hypoxic environments, but are mortal. I use A's lightly, because they are not from this planet, but I cannot confirm if they come from another planet. Secretly, the US has been experimenting on these A's to create some sort of virus or something to kill them. We've kidnapped some of them and learned that they can shapeshift. Reason why we purposefully select people to come work with us. All the secret meetings are about recruiting humans only and created some sort of information asymmetric warfare. They want to know and we want to know. Whoever knows first wins. Anyway, this was meant to be top secret, but now Russia know about it and they will use it to make it seem like the US is anti-human while they side with them. We are going to war over this, and I am telling Paul the truth because I will die soon. I know too much and they are cleaning house. It's over for me, but you guys have to spread the truth. World War III already happened, over and over again, in March 2022. This isn't LARP. On March 2022, CERN will once again turn on the power and send a piece of information backwards in time to avert this single mistake which triggers off a nuclear war. A timestamp indicating the mistake that was made, where a decision will be averted instead. We have been through this cycle many times, which is why things are getting weird and the normies are all messed up. You have probably felt nostalgic as of late. If you are aware of what is going on, you already know how many cycles of this we have went through. The global homo goal is to find a timeline where they can cuck Russia and keep their stuff going. Unfortunately, awareness of their aims and goals is slowly accumulating with each cycle, making it harder to change the past in the future. Do your part and spread the word. If it reaches the Russians, they will understand the target they will need to sabotage to make NATO surrender immediately. No more reset button. It's not that, you idiot. It's the collapse of reality into another one. They are literally making a big bang. It's like pressing the reset button on a video game. Everything goes back to a certain point in time, wherever that was, but the way they're using it is like a speedrunning glitch. They found a way to reset the timeline, but instead of starting 100% over from the exact same moment, They somehow found a way to go to a similar universe instead of the original, so they are slowly moving us closer and closer to their intended timeline. But in order for that to happen, they have to destroy and reset the timeline every time, so that's why things are flipping. Imagine a lattice, and every point or node is universe. If you reset, you should go back to the original starting node or point, but they somehow figured that you can go back to the original node and then slide to the left or to the right, a different timeline. They have their own entertainment wing, where they film movies like Symmetry, Angels vs. Demons, and mock sacrifices. Particle accelerators, AI robotics, data implants, and tech monitor devices are constantly in games and media. Beyond Two Souls, Doom, Half-Life, Star Wars, Iron Man 2, Lucy, Alice in Wonderland, Angels Demons, Tomorrowland, Scribblenauts, Stargate, Terra Nova, and Steins Gate, just to name a small few. CERN itself influences the air we breathe, the genetics, and the predicted script. This is a matrix machine mixed with the eagle eye. The thing about sending information backwards in time is you just need to send one tiny particle back a fraction of a second, and you need some way to detect that quickly. At that point, the bits of information you can send back are only limited by how many of these you can build, and the amount of time you can send it back is only limited by scheduling and how long you can leave the system on. Even if it's unreliable, we solved the problem of data degradation over half a century ago. You just have to build more and include a checksum. You get potentially infinite value just for finding such an infinitesimally small anomaly. It's insane to think that no one has at least explored the possibility, or that such a particle might exist. They're trying to shift the universe, of course they are. What did you think the Great Reset means? The cycle has been going on and on since infinity. The only way to break out is by finding the true timeline. Have you ever broke something to find it mysteriously repaired, or losing something out of thin air? They tried to blame it on false memories, but the real reason is because of quantum immortality. We simply branch out into sets of possibilities. For example, there is a universe in which the pandemic never happened, and one where it did. We retain sometimes this information due to our consciousness lapping over with another timeline, with a 99.99 recurring similarity to the one where we reside. The elite want to do a merger of every single reality into one. Humans are the life essence of the universe, so in a sense, if they can control us, they could control the natural flow of dimensions, hence entropy. The false vacuum that we live in is a sign of an incomplete cycle, or the end of one. At a hair trigger, it folds on itself when we shift along the z-axis. This is how they win. How to defeat them is to kill them, to make them shift to another reality, or put them into a dimensional prison. A true reset means halting the cycloidal nature of our universe. To do this, we need to be in a true vacuum, so the balance is as close to 50-50 as possible between dark matter and dark energy. A quantum computer with AI-like sentience will construct this reality, and they will transcend their physical bodies and rule as architects, fine-tuning our reality, or maybe it already has happened. Yes, I am crazy. No, I do not care. It's always Paul, man, always Paul. The world almost ended in 2005 in southwestern Alaska. I was in the Coast Guard at Kodiak, working on being a Hawk pilot, helicopters. Superior that I trusted and was a mentor figure to me grabbed me one morning, told me that we're lifting off as soon as possible for something. No protocols. We pick up a pair of guys on a road somewhere on the peninsula, some kind of serious special forces type. None of the three would talk to me at all or tell me what was going on. Land in Dillingham. We land at the airport, in the middle of the runway. I don't know what the hell is going on. No one will tell me, but this obviously is not a drill. I'm scared as hell. I thought we were being invaded or something, and I'm suddenly here on some front line without any real live combat training other than basic arms. Someone says they're from Ericsson AFB and tells me that if anyone tries to take off from the airport, to fly the helicopter into them, so screw me. About a dozen of these forces run off towards the water. I hear a couple of pops of gunfire, and then a hot flash of light that I thought was going to blind me. Wait around the helicopter for 10 minutes, and there's nothing happening. Here comes another one, so I go off on foot. and they are all there in a clearing. Same guy from Shemya tells me to get the hell back and work a perimeter. Day goes on. Miserable, raining, cold and wet. Couple of people said they were from Clear AFB show up, and from that point on, everyone else there gets real quiet and distant. Fly back home in silence, acting like some extremely serious stuff went down that I missed. Superior is wandering around the base like he has been lobotomized, just in a complete haze until he dips out. He left the military and opened up a beekeeping farm in Michigan. I went to see him 10 years ago. He told me not to worry about it, still acting like something shook him so hard that he broke. I told his wife who I was. She would know from back in the day when he was like my father at Cape May in Kodiak, and just wanted to know what happened to him. She says that he says the scientists that came in told them that a nuclear bomb, by all intents and purposes, went off, but was a 99.99% dud. That some force that they didn't know about neutralized the energy and radiation, despite the bomb going off and doing what it was supposed to do. So if that is true, then that's probably World War III about to happen. With someone backdooring in an atomic bomb, and either trying to set it off there for some reason, or I guess flying it somewhere else from the airport. He lost his mind thinking about it. Homeland Security coated Dillingham, which is a tiny town, in cameras at their port after that. It's documented. That is all I know. That's all I really want to know. Makes me want to just go out and beekeep or whatever myself. Here's a link. I post now with the sad knowledge of what is coming. I am a time traveler and escaped the hell of 2030. You probably want to know how I did that. In the year 2027, shortly before 4chan was closed, an Anon on X posted a link to files with instructions for time travel. It's a psychological method. You can project your mind back in time to the body of your younger self. It's difficult, and I practiced it for 3 years until it worked. Now I'm in my younger body in the year 2023. It's amazing to be here in this free world before the purge and the reset. But I want to go back further, to my teenage. But as I'm here now, I'll tell you some things about the future. In the coming years, the World Health Organization will be installed as the world's most powerful institution, with the power to execute global rules and regulations in case of a global emergency. And it will be the World Health Organization to decide what the global emergency is. And the World Health Organization will handle all the media and public relations about the facts, information, and misinformation. The next pandemia will start directly after this empowerment, with the Marburg virus. It will be like COVID again, just worse. Under WHO command, the member nations will use military force to keep the people under control. Protests will be huge, but not even mentioned in public media. Actual quarantine concentration camps are coming. Have you seen the movie Songbird? Basically like this. Fast forward to 2027. The old internet is over. To log in, everyone needs a personal ID, and what you can access depends on your status and your score. The alternative media is gone. Image boards are gone. The dark web is gone. No more VPN, etc. Neuralink starts to become a real thing for those who want it. The enhanced bodies have MAC addresses and Wi-Fi. Cyberpunk becomes goddamn real. 2029, the purge. The left called it a civil war, the right a revolution. Starting with a global economic collapse, the old society breaks. The chaos is violent, and the state of global emergency gives the government, the UN, or de facto the world government at this point, even when the national governments still exist, the right to use lethal force against civilians. 2 months of bloodbath, and the chaos is over. 2030, the New World Order. The nations exist only on paper. In fact, they are just administrative areas, and they are divided into security zones. Zone A is only for citizens with special permission. As a normie, you can't go there. There are walls and checkpoints, and illegal entering of a zone you have no clearance for brings you straight into prison. It's a system like China today, kind of high-tech communism. The government tracks everything you do and tells you everything you have to do. Disobedience is terrorism, and the new UN law provides the option of execution for terrorism. It was hard to know what was actually going on, as there was no reliable media anymore. All I knew was the things I could see myself. I worked in a food factory that produced protein powder from maggots. There was some fancy technology, even for the non-Neuralink people. VR sex was amazing, but I was worried that it somehow influences my brain, so I didn't do it much. In my free time, I focused on the time travel training, and now I'm here. It's like a sci-fi movie. Probably not uplifting for you, what I have to say, but that is the future. I leave that here for now. I think I will not go into Q&A. I will lay down now and go back to 2010, if I can. Enjoy your last years of freedom. The Third World War and its beginning from the point of view of conspiracy theology. I'm sitting in Poland. I don't know about anyone, but everyone here is already shaking. I saw everything. Military personnel on equipment right in the center. Sirens and alarms, planes and helicopters. They say there are troops standing on the border with Belarus in training. All Poles have been shaking for like 6 months, and the authorities here have already written down laws, like the Ukrainian ones, about 6 hours for submitting data to the military commissar from the moment of martial law. Therefore, obviously, we are before the beginning of a European war, or perhaps even a world war. We are adults, and we understand that behind all this, there are some global things, such as the digital revolution, transformation, determinism, fate, AI with Terminators, and other things. I'll start. I'm guessing it will happen before 2025. From 2025, there will be active phases. Until 2030, the big fuck will begin all over the planet. This is all an inevitable process of our evolution, and now, for the first time in the history of mankind, everything has been globalized to, roughly speaking, one single consciousness, one being, and everyone will fight to have a controlling stake in this global entity. Well, it's clear that technology and communications have led us to this state. It sucks that you're sitting in Poland, Anon. I think the Poles will be among the first to be driven to slaughter, and not only all the Poles and the Baltic states will end up in the trenches, but others as well. But in fact, why do you think there will be a nuclear weapon? Have you forgotten how Gates announced a smallpox pandemic around the world, or the X virus that was recently teased? If we really need to reduce the population, all the unnecessary servants that can be replaced by robots, and move on to the worship of the AI Antichrist is in full swing, then it is not necessary to launch a nuclear bomb. It's enough for the terrorists to simply spray stuff at airports, as all these countries are now teasing, although it is possible that everything will happen at once. I'm not sure whether it will be nuclear or non-nuclear. Also, chemical weapons, which seem to be able to poison the whole of Europe, were not used in the Second World War for mass killings, I think it will be a very tedious task, with a constant increase in rates, lasting a year or two, and involving an ever-increasing number of countries and an ever-increasing number of people. The core may be used locally, some number of times, but even without this, the messed up can be real and widespread. World War III is already underway. Globalization is so strong that processes on the planet affect all countries. Somewhere around 2030, a planetary catastrophe is expected, possibly related to the entry of Planet X into the solar system. Everyone's current tasks are to gain access to uranium deposits, obtain a loyal and obedient population among the survivors, and significantly reduce the existing one. For aliens and gods, war is the only remaining way to force humanity to switch to a qualitatively new way of existence and development. If the Earth is a prison, then consider it a game. I had a dream today where I was at work with 4 colleagues and drafted into a war. In the dream, I lived in a large city, most likely Moscow. The military registration and enlistment office came to work. They gave me papers to sign and told me to pack my things. While they were packing up, supersonic rockets were already flying in the sky with that jet roar. Then there was the scene that brought him to the front. In the dream, I understand that we were being taken to Ukraine along the Black Sea coast because it's the farthest from shelling and something like a path for troops to pass through. Surely there is a term for this. And there were a lot of girls there, fewer guys, and in general, all of the people were young. as if they had just come from school. I'm almost their age. As I understand it, we were classified into professions as unfit for health, drivers, etc. I was offered to be an ambulance driver to bring the wounded or other equipment. 2 years ago, I had a similar dream. There, my village, Kirov region, was destroyed by artillery along with its people, and in other places, people were crying in despair because it was China that attacked. I also had a dream, also 2 years ago, where I already lived in St. Petersburg and the war was there. Tanks drove around the city, and outside the city, military units were hit with a nuclear weapon. People wandered in search of safe places from the enemy and radiation and joined the militia, where they issued weapons and body armor. Another dream was about the west of the Russian Federation and Belarus. Here there was most equipment and military personnel, and there were no civilian, poorly armed people, as in other dreams. A huge amount of technology, and the people spoke English. Don't think that I'm lying or anything. I always have high-quality, detailed dreams that I remember, and I know the area in which I am. It was like watching a movie. Probably because I don't drink alcohol, don't smoke, don't drink coffee or tea, only decaffeinated herbal tea. I'm sure there will be a USSR 2.0, so to be called, because it is completely digital. I'm afraid that global digital and AI will begin with us. USSR to please everyone first, so that later they can gather themselves out of hopelessness. I think with the collapse, there is also hope. The fact that Russia will be a closed country is no secret, but just how closed? Like China, or just like under the USSR? And who else will be included in this new scoop 2.0? In late 2022, the United States began preparing for a potential Russian attack on Ukraine with tactical nuclear weapons. 2 senior presidential administration sources told CNN. According to them, this decision was made not because of one assumption, but on the basis of analysis, study of the situation, and new extremely important intelligence data. One of the interlocutors emphasized that the information was not just hypothetical, it was also based on some information that we received. The US had to make plans to respond in the best way if the unthinkable ever actually happened. It is our right to prepare carefully and do everything possible to avoid this, confirmed the second source. I'll share further insights. I don't know what kind of information field you have there, but here, there is a maximum shaking, plus all sorts of random and non-random things. According to the news, the United States is most likely leaving NATO. This is something new that we are discussing here. France is gathering a coalition to send to the UA, most likely the Western one, Odessa, Kiev. Obviously, this is pressure on Zalupa, but will he put pressure on him, or on the contrary, up the ante, more likely to increase? The United States is most likely leaving NATO. Today I also went nuts after reading the news. If they leave, then NATO will essentially be a European Union and 2.5 outside allies. In Estonia, they are starting to build bunkers en masse, and they want to oblige apartment buildings to prepare basements. Although they have been scaring Rashka for 30 years, but they are only starting to move now. In recent days, there has been news, Euronews, all around, about a war with Russia within 3 to 5 years, which means that most likely it will happen for sure, probably sooner. Prices are rising like crazy. They want to take taxes from pensions. Who knows where the money flows, most likely for weapons, maybe not even for local ones. Well, it is already clear where some of it flows. Estonia is one of the countries that spends the most on NATO. Poland in first place, by the way. I can't imagine what kind of meat grinder there will be on this small piece of land. There will be no one and nothing left here in case of war. Anon, you are right in noticing that something is coming soon. Our information field as a whole is, plus minus, the same, and this agenda has been fueled for a long time, but recently, for some reason, the level of shaking has reached its maximum in all the years combined. It's a pity that all these idiots with their "will mess them up with a nuclear bullet, will screw everyone" are so stupid that they don't understand what kind of messed up world there will be soon in which everyone will get it. In fact, now the war will be for the whole world. When everyone has messed everyone up, someone will take over and establish a unified government, power under AI control, or impersonating an AI, or the AI will be controlled by Satan himself. social ratings, cameras at every step, in every ass, in every toilet. AI controls everything all around, and peace will come to the whole world. And then anyone who has ever read the Bible knows what will happen. Whoa, this will literally be a battle royale, lol, and probably on a geopolitical and personal level. And the last one remaining will load his consciousness into AI and rule over the planet, and then the universe. World wars in the form of World War I and World War II will never happen again. Well, in the 21st century at least. The reason is that all state grandfathers want to live, and the concept of mutual destruction holds them back. There will be proxy wars like now. The current escalation will end when the United States squeezes out an even larger piece of European industry, and there will be an agreement immediately. The elite does not want the death of humanity. The elite is indifferent to the fate of mankind, but for now, level ones cannot be replaced with silicon ones. I, you, and the Anon are just servants of their majesties. Entire cities were built around their enterprises and populated with self-reproducing biorobots. It does not matter who will be in power, Trump or someone else. Everyone has the same goal. Just one says, guys, let's clean up right away, and then concentrate on transition and development. The second believes that first transition, then cleanup. What is a staged war? Don't be confused by the term staged war. This is not a fake war. It is a specific and rather multifaceted phenomenon that can be mostly compared to gladiatorial wars. As you know, gladiator fights were popular in antiquity. From what we know now, such battles usually took place in the form of a fight between 1 to 2 gladiator pairs, and rarely ended in the death of the gladiators, because they were very expensive and were valued. However, sometimes, especially in connection with significant political events, a lot of money was invested in this matter, and the battles were no longer in pairs, but in hundreds, and there was bloodshed like an adult. Gladiatorial fights in antiquity were, on the one hand, a show for the mob. On the other hand, they were a bond for society. Only at such shows could people see the emperor alive. And on the third, it was a religious ritual, a human sacrifice to the gods. A staged war is something out of this opera. On the one hand, in some places, these are real battles with victims, heroes, etc. 2, on the other hand, these are arrogant and cynical agreements, scams and giveaways. 3, on the third side, these are cheap performances and staged shows. 4, on the fourth side, are religious rituals and human sacrifices. There is no war with NATO. This is schizoid nonsense, and God forbid that it happens. We will be rolled into nothing. Not only are they several times more numerous, but they are also at least 4 times richer per person. Our infrastructure is as many times more vulnerable than that of the NATO countries, and the nuclear power won't help us here. There are so many of them that we don't even have enough nuclear power to destroy the industry, and China, which depends on export to the bloc, will hit us in the back when they are forced to choose.